Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to unveil my spreadsheet that I created to try to track pricing and production numbers for UFC hobby boxes that have been released since the inception of the first product that ever came out, which at the bottom of this spreadsheet is 2009 Topps UFC Round 1. So there are approximately 66 products here. I think exactly 66 products here. So on this spreadsheet, let me walk you through my thought process, why I created it, and what I hope to achieve with this. So there is no single resource that I have found to track sealed UFC product price movements. So where I got this idea from was some of the Pokemon YouTubers. They have it pretty easy, in my opinion, because they have a website called tcgplayer.com. That is a website that sells a variety of trading card game items, but they sell Pokemon single cards, but they also sell Pokemon sealed boxes. And there's enough price movement on that website and sellers and buyers that A, they have good data, and B, there is a tracking mechanism in that site that charts out all the price action. So you literally can go in and see how many items sold each day, for a week, for a month, and you can see the prices in a chart, whether they went up or down or stayed sideways or went in a circle or whatever. So trying to do that for sports is a little bit tough because I'm not aware of any website that reliably tracks sports products in such a way, but especially UFC products. You can certainly go to websites, and we'll kind of touch on this in a minute, that sell products in the secondary market, such as Blowout Cards, Dave & Adams, Steel City, like all the big players that sell sealed wax across multiple sports, including UFC. But to try to single out UFC in one spreadsheet and also keep track of or try to figure out production numbers for those hobby boxes. So let me walk you through the spreadsheet. So the first column is a list of all the UFC products that are released in chronological order. I would say it's chronological by year. I don't think it's chronological within the year itself. Like, I can't guarantee that in 2024 Midnight released after Chrome, or in 2016 UFC Museum was the last release of 2016. I didn't get that granular. So I have this information. The next column is the MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail price of the product. I don't know how useful of a metric this is, but it is some version of a guide to see if the product sells for more or less than MSRP. I don't think MSRP has much value anymore, and maybe in the future I won't track it, but I was able to find MSRP for almost all these items. So I put it in here as a data point. Now, the hardest one is the estimated print run for hobby boxes. I will be honest that some of these I'm very confident in, some of these numbers I am moderately confident in, and some of these numbers I am not confident in at all. I use a combination of searching Google, trying to look at forums, trying to pull from individuals online who reverse engineer the odds numbers and then come up with the estimated print run based on the odds that the companies put out. Like, for example, this 2025 Topps UFC Sapphire number, I got like 99.9% confident that number is pretty locked in, because you can take all the hits from that product and the production numbers and look at the odds and map it out. Some of this stuff may be hit or miss. As I have time and as I build this out, I will try to get better confidence intervals for these, but for right now, it is what it is. The further you go back, the less questionable some of these numbers are, and some of them I had no clue. So I just put a question mark, but it's a work in progress. Now, the interesting part that I want to track is the sale price. So trying to track eBay pricing manually is a nightmare. I'm not skilled enough with scraping web data and trying to figure out how to do that. I'm sure there are some websites that may do that, maybe Market Movers, which is a service that's similar to Card Ladder. But I think trying to look at what a website sells it for that's reputable and has these items in stock, has these specific items in stock, and then looking at eBay in a separate window, I think might be a little more useful and provide a little bit better perspective as we analyze this stuff. So circle back, this first column here was, or is, on November 7, 2025 on Blowout Cards, which from what I can tell had the best selection of UFC wax, how much they were selling the product for. So that it goes all the way down. Obviously, if it says none, I put none. I may do a combination of Blowout and David Adams and Steel City, but I just want to stick with Blowout just to get the data in there. I did put David Adams for a couple of the more significant boxes, probably the two most iconic sealed boxes in all of UFC, which is 2013 Topps UFC Bloodlines, which they were selling for $4,592.95. And as I referenced earlier, 2009 Topps UFC Round 1 for $3,399.95. The goal is to track this over time every month and update the spreadsheet into a video, and then create pricing charts that show the price movement of what Blowout is selling it for, but also off to the side and the right side here, seeing what the items are actually going for and selling for on eBay. Until I find a better way to aggregate all this data together, which I think would be tedious, but it might be worth it, I think this is what we're going to roll with for now and see how it goes and see if there's any value in this or what we can learn. So before we start analyzing this, just to put this into some context, right? So comparing this to other major sports, there are obviously less sales of these products compared to basketball, football, baseball, and hockey. So let's get that out of the way. The production numbers are less, there's less sales to track. That also means the price movement could be much more volatile. Throw in the fact that you have individuals that maybe they bought stuff on a credit card, maybe they're financially in a tough spot. Some of these items were just auctioned off, and the items that sell at auction, it's possible, especially if they have a misspelling, it ended at a weird time, they had low feedback, that item ended significantly cheaper than what I consider to be the true market price. Versus maybe something that sold at a buy it now from a reputable seller. And I think it's important to keep that in mind because I think you can find deals there, but depending how low the feedback seller is, or if they're doing a pre-sale, maybe you can get scammed or taken advantage of, but that's all factored into your own metrics for the risk you're willing to take on to buy something, whether you have protection from your credit card or how you're paying. And I'm not going to get into that. That's not the video for this. But my point is that you will see swings in product movement that make no sense and are illogical, but that's just the way markets operate. It's not perfectly efficient because we're not selling 100 or 200 boxes a day. It's a couple boxes a day. And that's how prices work. And then you have to factor in that these prices are online. You have to factor in when these boxes show up at a show, what you can negotiate in person if you pay cash and all that in. So the moral of the story is this is not the end all be all of any data point, but I wanted to track this for my own education or for my own research to build up something to learn how these boxes move. And going into, as I referenced in a previous video, the Paramount Plus deal, more people jumping in the UFC, and then the White House event on July 4th in 2026. I thought it'd be kind of cool to see what happens to these boxes over the next 7, 8, 9 months. And if the more people watching the sport does translate into the price of these boxes going up. My guess is it does, and I think it's going to be significant, but I honestly have no idea. So that's the point of this exercise. So let's get into a little bit of analysis and look through some of this. So my goal for this video is to take the 6 products that I've released so far in 2025, which would be Panini Combat Anthology, Topps UFC Finest, Topps Knockout, Midnight, Topps Chrome, and Topps Chrome Sapphire, and then compare the price on Blowout that was on November 7th of this year, and what they sell it for, and to see what it's going for on eBay and to identify anything interesting or that stands out. So Panini Combat Anthology was $144.95 on Blowout on 11/27. And we see here some of the prices. Recently, 2 boxes sold for $220 plus 13 delivery. So call it $120 a box plus tax. So $130 a box. Here we have $126 for a box plus tax, $137.88 a box, $142.50 a box, 2 boxes. Oh, this was a steal. 2 boxes, one for, wow, $220, so $110 a box. I know it shows the cheapest I could find this for was $120 a box paying cash. But you can see the number fetching $140 plus $6 delivery, $120. So it's kind of all over the place. Between $110 at the cheapest and up to $140. Overall, the reception of this product has been pretty good. People love this product. People enjoy cracking it. The breakers are having a good time with this product. And I don't think that much of this product was made. Based on my numbers, I have 12,000 hobby boxes. So about 10,000 cases, give or take. So $145 a box is going to be interesting when we update this in a month from Blowout to see if their price goes up or down. But that's the action we see now. In my opinion, if you could get these boxes for $120 to $125 all in, a case is preferred because you get the case hit and the kaboom. Again, buying single boxes is always risky because if the case hit is taken out and the Frankenstein boxes are sold off individually, singles, the likelihood that there's a kaboom in here is a much slimmer. That's why I like buying cases, especially when the product has a case hit, which this does. So now we go on to the next product, 2025 Topps UFC Finest. So this product has had a crash, a mini crash, a slight hiccup, whatever you want to call it. So these boxes have been selling at or lower than what they were initially offered for on Topps website. So we see on Blowout, it was selling for $204.95 on November 7th. And we see here, $155, call it plus tax, $150, $157, $180 buy it now. So what do I think this is from? I think this is people dumping product, not holding on to it, maybe trying to buy it thinking it was going to spike up, similar to WWE Finest, which is at $450 a box, which is absolutely wild. Maybe some people thought that was going to spike, and when it didn't, people just started dumping it, moved on. And I understand it. It's human nature, and that's what individuals do, even if they're willing to lose money. They don't have faith in the product. They don't have a long-term mindset. That's kind of what happens. So it's not surprising. I think what is surprising is how drastic the drop was and how much product is hitting the market. But it is still a popular product with breakers. People are still excited about the cards and getting big hits. But again, price is a little bit weak. Prices reflect that. But then you're like, hey, you have this one that went for over $200 from Pack Breakers Outlet. But recently the prices have been weak. This could just be, this dude had 24 feedback, but this person had 903 feedback and it went. So I don't know. I still like the UFC Finest product. I think it's worth buying if you can get it at this dip. So that's $150 a box all in or cheaper. So now we go to Topps Knockout. So in my opinion, of every product so far in 2025, this is the one that has been rejected the most by the market. And I've commented on this in previous videos, but basically your box is going to be amazing and you're going to have superb hits and you're going to hit a home run or you're going to get total crap. And for the balancing of a product, I think most individuals who buy a sealed product and open it prefer a more balanced experience where it's not all or nothing. I don't think individuals like that feeling. Even in this gambling economy, when it comes to cards, I think when it comes to the opening of the product itself, there's an expectation to have a certain type of experience and a feeling of value. And I think there's too many boxes that are being opened with knockout that people don't feel like they're getting value. I mean, at one point, this product was selling pretty well at $225, $250 a box. But now you see it's below $200 pretty regularly. This case sold for well under $200, like $185 a box. You're still seeing prices at $200 here and there, but again, you see a lot more or less than that. I mean, this 4-box lot, went for, what is that, 170? No, my math, is my math right on that? 165, yeah, 160, 170, I'm right. So $200 a box, $200 a box. I think this product can go down a little further, in my opinion. I don't think people like the product. I think they love the quad autos and the triple autos and all that type of nonsense, but I don't know. And Blowout had the item, or had it a couple, what is that? 13 days ago for $225 a box. I think this can go down further. And if it got down, if people were willing to sell it as cheap as $175, I would buy everything. $170 all in with shipping and tax and everything else. I'd probably buy a lot more. So now we go to UFC Midnight. So this product is interesting. So $330 on Blowout. Price action here. There's been sales at $300. When I was at a card show, I saw this selling for $275 cash, $290. These are empty boxes, so ignore that. $275. So this product's holding pretty well. People enjoy this product. It's a fun break. Cards are stunning. But again, look at these sales. So we have October 21st, October 23rd, October 30th. Again, super, super light volume. I mean, the reliability of some of this data, like there was one that sold on November 15th. Then the last box that sold was November 12th. I mean, 3 days between sales. I don't know. Not sure what to make of that. Other than there's not a lot of people selling it recently, but maybe it's because there's not much demand. I don't know, to figure that out. Now we go to Topps Chrome UFC, which is on Blowout, or was on Blowout for $260 a box, we'll call it. And there was a recent dump tonight that I was paying attention to where somebody put up like 6 boxes in a row. Looks like a breaker. 220, 218, 220, 222, 220, 235 from a different person. But obviously when this many are listed in a row ending around the same time on the same date, you're probably going to get some price suppression. This naturally dips because unless you have one person buying them all up, there's only so many people to compete. But here we see $260 for a box. The Sapphire we ignore. This one was another Sapphire box. Again, the Sapphire is being picked up here. Let me remove the Sapphire from the search. Get some better data. There we go. Should have done that earlier. $255, $300, but then $225. But again, there's much more recent sales. This one went for $200. Holy cow. That's dirt cheap. $200 is a good price for that product. So anyway, opportunity there if you can snipe something. But these are the solds. This is where it's at on Blowout. So Blowout's not too far off, only a $30, or call it a $20 difference from what you can buy on Blowout. Then we go to Topps Chrome Sapphire, $250, $202, $200. It's $330 on Blowout. So these are definitely going down in price. People enjoy this product, but for some reason it's not holding value. I just think that there's a lot of products coming out. Yet we still remember, UFC is still a niche market with a small amount of people, and they have, at least from Topps, they have 5 products coming out. that have been out this year. I think they're still trying to figure out the timing and the cadence of releases for the UFC market and what works. But if you look over the past few years, like 6 products came out in 2024. You got Chrome, Midnight, Knockout, Gold Label, Finest, and Royalty. 2025, you added Panini Combat Anthology, which is a new product. But it looks like 6 releases every year, maybe 5, going back a little further. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this and show the price action and the data and what I'm seeing, but I'm curious to see how Blowout reacts because they're pretty tuned in with the market. I mean, obviously they have pretty sophisticated algorithms and pricing data, and they're in the business to move product. So I think tracking their pricing will be interesting. And also in the spreadsheet, I want to look at one other tab. I'm tracking my seal position. So I have not built this out totally yet. But for each product here, I'm going to log how many boxes I own, what I paid per box, the total cost of my position, and then do percentage of the portfolio. And then I may add in the total value based on current Blowout market price if I can figure out an easy way to do that with an Excel formula, which shouldn't be a problem. But that'll be another side project on the spreadsheet. And I was going to work on it's UCF. I probably should rename that to UFC. I was going to work on a top 25 UFC single card index of the best 25 single cards. Obviously non-one of ones, because that would skew it. In the history of UFC, the most iconic cards in UFC history. I think I want to build that out next and keep track of the values of that separately, and that'll be easier to do with card ladder. Maybe like the Islam rookie from 2019, some of the original cards from 2009, John Jones rookies, Amanda Nunes, like the top ones in the sport. Pierre, St. Pierre, etc. So yeah, so this is the project. Going through here, looking through some of the heavy hitters. 2021 Panini Prism, which is the debut of Prism, $1,250. I have some of those. I think I have a couple of cases of that. I bought them when they first came out, never sold them. And the thought is, from an investment point of view, is to buy this and sit on it and let time do what it's supposed to do. And I think that's the secret. Most people have no patience. I think society has less patience than ever. So if you can exercise your muscle of patience, I think you can win bigger than any time in history. That is my theory with this. Is everybody feels like they have to make a move or they have to buy something or sell something, or if they lose $20, they need to dump the product and move on to something else and double and triple your money. This fast-paced, fast action environment, I think, rewards individuals with a disciplined mindset that can take money that they don't need for bills because they're more established or they made better choices or however you want to look at it. They put that money to work and they forget about it and they don't think about it. I could easily buy these products and just store them in a storage unit or in a vault and not think about it. But the part I enjoy is tracking the data because ultimately I want to see if I am right. Part of the fun of life that I enjoy is coming up with a hypothesis, mapping out a theory, and then executing it. And after a year, 3 years, 5 years, to see, hey, was my read correct? Was my intuition right? Did what I think was going to happen with the UFC market happen? That's the first part. But did all the forces at play actually result in the outcome that I thought? So it's very possible that more people watch UFC than ever. It becomes more popular than ever. And all that could be absolutely true, but maybe it doesn't translate to the value of sealed UFC boxes going up in value. That's the part that is fascinating to me. Because everything points in that direction, and it seems so simple to me, but it also gives me pause for concern because if I'm seeing it and I'm looking at it that way, why is no one else? Most people in the UFC space focus on one-of-ones, autographs, collecting, the big fighters, and speculating on who is going to win the fight, and you buy up that fighter before the fight and it goes up and you make a little bit of money, and I get that. And there's definitely a spot for that in this hobby, and I enjoy doing that to some extent as well. But still, my mindset is still long-term. Like, the outcome of any individual fight really is not going to affect how I approach this hobby, or especially with the sealed wax. So there is value in moving slow and waiting for your turn, being patient, and then when you see the signs and everything lines up, and hopefully you have money to deploy, then you take swift action. So that is the whole point of tracking this experiment. And over the past few months, investing well into the 6 figures in sealed UFC wax product. And I will continue to do so over the next couple of months as well. That's how confident I am in this. And either it's going to be a glorious experiment, and at the end of this, I'll look back and be like, hey, I was right. Or I would look back and I'll be broke and I would lose my ass, and I can sit in my room by myself with a nice drink and open the boxes myself, and it'll be a glorious disaster. So we shall find out. So I'm going to do another update on this in a couple of weeks, a little less than a month, with the 12/7 pricing data from Blowout. We'll pull up maybe we'll do 2024 for the next eBay ones. I mean, trying to do every single video will take me an hour, and I don't think that's logical. So anyway, if you learned a little something watching this video, I'd appreciate it if you could like or subscribe or leave a comment. Any interaction you have with this channel really helps out the algorithm, and also lets me see that you're responding to some of the videos I'm doing, and you're getting something out of it. And with all that being said, wherever you are in the world, stay safe, take care of yourself, love your family, and have a great night.